So we just got the main cast for the new Hunt for Gollum movie. Like all the announcements, it's pretty much the same. Ian McKellen's back, Elijah Wood is back, Lee Pace is back. We've got, obviously, Andy Serkis is back for Gollum. And then you've got the new additions like Kate Winslet. And you've got Leo Woodwall, who was rumoured to be Aragorn, who's actually not playing Aragorn. He's playing a whole new character that I think is actually being made up for the movie, which I don't know why. And the one that's kind of like the big news of it all is that Jamie Dornan has been announced to be Aragorn. Now, I don't hate this casting, but there's a big problem with this. So, firstly, I don't know why this movie's being made, but I think the movie being made is absolutely pointless. It's kind of too late. It's just like, it's a movie that doesn't need to be made. There's like a big question about the movie. It's like, why? And I know Peter Jackson came out and said this was kind of like the movie he wanted to make before he wanted to make The Hobbit.
There's great stuff in the book that we just couldn't put into the movie, and I've always loved the concept that when Gandalf leaves Bag End, he goes and joins up with Aragorn, and the two of them hunt Gollum down. And so we've got this little remnant, which is Gollum being tortured, but we never could obviously do the bit where Aragorn and Gandalf actually track Gollum down. But it's a neat idea.
And he also wanted to make The Hobbit first before he made Lord of the Rings. I think it's just a movie that's too late. Like Ian McKellen, he's like, 85, 86? So majority of his role is just going to be a stunt double. Like he's not exactly moving like he did as Gandalf. And I know people aging, they get older, but he's really not moving that well. But for me, Lord of the Rings is like in my like top 5 movies of all time. Probably top 3, to be honest. And like being unbiased, I think Lord of the Rings is one of the greatest cinema achievements. Like I just don't think that like there's ever going to be another time in cinema that's going to sort of achieve what Lord of the Rings achieved. I could talk about this for hours, just how much of like an achievement Lord of the Rings was from a film and just cinematic perspective. Nothing will ever come close. Nothing will ever touch it, especially now with just like the type of film that's coming out, the quality of the films coming out, and just like since streamers come out, like no one's ever going to put the money down to do what Lord of the Rings did. Dune's probably the closest, but even then, it's just not even close. So in saying that, like, this is my problem. I don't hate the Jamie Dornan casting. Like, I don't hate it at all. I think Jamie Dornan has the look. The problem I have is the recasting. Now, I know people get older. I agree that Viggo Mortensen was too old to be Aragorn. How do I say this nicely? He's aged. He hasn't aged like a typical actor in Hollywood ages. He doesn't look terrible. We're accustomed to actors looking like they're 30 years old when they're in their 60s. That's not Viggo Mortensen. And I love Viggo Mortensen. I think he's a phenomenal actor, super underrated. He doesn't look like Aragorn anymore, let's just say that. But the problem with the casting is the movie's supposed to be set, from what I believe, between the time when Gandalf came to the Shire, he was there for Bilbo's birthday, 11th birthday party.
Today is my 111th birthday!
After that happened, Bilbo left. He left the ring. Gandalf gave the ring to Frodo.
Keep it secret. Keep it safe.
And then he kind of left the Shire to go and study what the ring was. So in the book, this is like a 17-year period. So in the movie, they speed up the time frame, and it's more like weeks to a month. And the Hunt for Gollum movie is tied to the original trilogy, or it's canon. So that's where my problem is with the casting. In the movies, or in the Lord of the Rings storyline, Aragorn's like 86 years old. For reference, Aragorn's a Dunedain, so he has long life. Like he lives longer than normal humans. They can live up to 200.
Then you must be at least 60. 70. You cannot be 80.
87.
The problem I have with it is, if it's set in that same universe, and it's set just before or in between the time when the Fellowship went off, Aragorn and the performance that Viggo Mortensen puts in for the 3 movies that he's in for, like phenomenal. Like he's so good in it. I just think like it's tied to the original trilogy. That's going to pull me out of it. Like I feel like Viggo Mortensen as Aragorn is irreplaceable. I think there's very few roles where an actor is irreplaceable. I think Aragorn is one of them. I just think for the purpose of this, Aragorn's irreplaceable. And I also just think for the story, it's like, what's the point? And the other thing as well, which I think is the same problem with the Hunt for Gollum movie, it's thin source material. Like, there's not much there. You're making a whole movie around thin source material and just backfilling it with a shitload of CGI and a bunch of nostalgia. And I feel like this is what the Hunt for Gollum movie is going to be like. Like, the actual story of Gandalf and Aragorn hunting for Gollum, it's like mentioned in like appendices in the books. There's no like detailed plot, or there's no like, it's just like a passing thing. We're already familiar with Gollum's struggles. Like we already know about his like character arc, and we already know about Gollum's internal struggles between himself, between Gollum and Smeagol. Like we already know all of this. It's like, what is the movie going to give us to show us anything that's different? We already know how he became Gollum. We've seen it. We've seen the progression. We've seen the struggle, and we've seen him struggle throughout the three movies. Like, what are you giving us that's different? Like, we already know that Sauron hunted down Gollum, tortured him.
I looked everywhere for the creature Gollum, but the enemy found him first. I don't know how long they tortured him.
And the movie's just like covering things that like we already know as viewers. Yeah, it might not have been shown in the movies, but like there's enough in the original movies where as a viewer, if you haven't even read the books, like I've read the books, but if you have only just seen the movies, there's enough in those movies to tell you enough of a story about Gollum's struggle, or like the hunt for Gollum during the Fellowship, and just like the build up when he came into Sam and Frodo's company. Like, I'll find it a little bit jarring. I don't hate the choice, but it's just like, I think it's going to be a little bit jarring because it's like you've set it in the same sort of universe, it's canon, and it's like it's going to be a completely different interpretation. Or if the interpretation that Jamie Dornan's going to give of Aragorn, like it's going to be like almost like a copy or someone doing an imitation of Viggo Mortensen as Aragorn. Or like Ian McKellen's too old, so the movie's probably going to heavily rely on CGI and potentially de-aging tech. Otherwise, if they don't, it's going to look like Gandalf's aged 1,000 years in the hunt for Gollum between Bilbo's party and then Gandalf came back from Minas Tirith after researching the ring. Like that time period, it's going to look like, man, he aged like 1,000 years and whatever he was doing was so stressful. I don't know how they're going to do it. Like, I feel like maybe shifting focus for like Gollum's perspective, I would assume is the way they're going to do it. I don't know how they're going to pull that off, because I wouldn't really call, like you're saying you're doing it from a villain perspective, I wouldn't really call Gollum a villain. I don't know if like I want to watch 2 to 2.5 hours of Gollum going back and forth, and you got your supporting characters of Gandalf and Aragorn. Like, and also how much is Frodo going to be in it? Like realistically, like what is he going to be doing? Are we just going to watch Frodo just like wandering around the Shire, waiting for Gandalf to come back while he's got this ring? There's too many questions I have that the questions start coming into as like, what is the point? The problem is, and I think this is the same problem also with the Harry Potter show, it's like they're clinging on to what fans already know without trusting the fact that bringing in a completely new story with completely new characters, thinking that fans aren't going to gravitate towards that, which I guarantee you most fans, especially like myself, like The Lord of the Rings, all that's history before, and you've got that Rings of Power show that's fucking awful, trying to like showcase the story of the Silmarillion. They're movies on their own. There's so much left of the Middle-earth universe that's like been untouched. We've only just touched on the third and fourth age. You got the first and second age that is in some areas more interesting. There's so much more that's like going on. The Lord of the Rings movies is at the end of the story. There's thousands of years of like history. There's so much more there to tell. We really need to see this all again. No.